Okay, good morning. I am here today with Ryan Lowry, and I love Ryan because he was our very first official Growthward Consulting client. And
Wow.
he contacted us. Yeah, you knew that. You know that now.
Yeah.
You're the OG. You're the OG.
First one.
Yeah. So Ryan contacted us. Ryan was in Prescott. You have your hub, your first team was in Prescott, Arizona. And Kristen was there, I think, training one day, and or you were chatting with Kristen, and just walked down the path of what would it look like to work with our company.
Yeah.
And yeah, tell me about that. Tell me about that conversation and what triggered you to have it in the first place, because you've not been in coaching before. Is that correct?
No, I haven't done any coaching really before. And Kristen, she'll teach her amazing classes and for example, Growth Word, or here, I'll show you one of them. ESO I think was the one I was taking at the time. I have the book sitting right here on my desk actually. And we were talking about my team and just how I could grow it. And that's when Kristen said, hey, you should probably look into getting some coaching. It would help. And that's when that conversation started. So
Then, and you and I don't coach together, so I'm kind of flying blind here a lot. But I mean, initially in coaching, one of the first things you did was laid on your coach that you were about to make a move, right? Like your hub probably wasn't 100%, but you guys had a big desire to get out of Prescott.
well, yeah, we wanted to grow our team and take over the world. And we were getting, my wife and I at the time, we lived in Prescott for almost 20 years, and we were kind of getting restless to make a move and to make a big move actually across the state. And we decided, I don't think at that time we quite knew where. We knew that we were going to move towards the east some. We were actually looking at Florida at the time, and we ended up falling in love with Tennessee. And that's where we ended up moving, was Knoxville, Tennessee. But I was trying to figure out, how do I continue to grow my team and that we had in Arizona, and expand that, and at the same time move away from it, really, because I would be in a whole nother location now and trying to keep this team running. So yeah, it was that was a little scary at the time.
What was the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge was maintaining relationships. When you start out as a small team, everybody has direct access to you all the time. And I was worried about distance and maintaining those relationships and communication and giving that same kind of just time to my team members that I was able to give them in person. What was that going to look like? And then, you have to realize that also during this move, COVID hit. So that was another thing that threw a wrench into some things. And we'll probably talk more about this, but as we get into it, but I was blessed that I started that training to walk me through some of those scenarios with COVID and distance and expanding a team. Without Growthward Consulting, I don't know if we could have done it, to be quite honest with you. So
what was the first biggest challenge that we were able to, that you had to walk through, that I hope we helped with, but what was the biggest challenge you had to walk through that you probably weren't expecting? You expected the loss of that cultural tie that you'd had, or the change anyway, but what were you not expecting?
Well, as a team leader, being in place, you wear a whole bunch of different hats, and I can do that quite easily. And your HR, your marketing, your everything. At the time, I was. I realized real quick, just through my training and really just discussion, that I was going to need to hire some people. And I've done that in the past, and not everyone I've hired in the past has worked out so well. We had varying degrees of success. So I was a little bit nervous about that. I think I will tell you the number one thing that was the biggest, that had the biggest effect on my ability to grow and to expand and my success over the last year, was when we got into hiring and doing it the right way. As a my personality, I tend to look at the best in people, and I want to hire them without taking all the steps. And when you sat down with me and gone and went through career visioning, that whole CV process has changed my whole attitude and outlook. Really, it was a paradigm shift on hiring somebody. That probably had the biggest, well, I can tell you, it had the biggest effect on my business to date. So being able to really flush that out and not only take the class, but also afterwards be able to go through the coaching and the counseling and the discussion and saying, well, what does this look like? And showing me what it looks like, and then actually experiencing it. The first one we went through, we didn't end up hiring her. And I would have, in the past, knowing myself, I would have hired that person in a heartbeat.
Right. That was like the classic. So I remember that when, your coach Denny called and said, hey, Ryan needs to make a hire. CV is not my superpower. Can you? And I was like, heck yeah. Like, I'm a junkie. I love CV so much. I love like digging into people's world. So we were able to do it virtually with this hire. And it's the classic story of, we got all the way through. We got like to the very last, make an offer stage, and it didn't come together. It didn't make sense.
But the excitement, we all get this excitement about hiring somebody and pushing your company forward. I mean, it just naturally happens. And then, like I said, I tend to fall in love with people.
Right.
I'm a people person, and when you interview them and you get to know them, you don't always look at it from a strategic business standpoint. Which that sounds cold at first, but it really isn't. It's quite loving and warm when you are able to do it the right way and bring somebody in that fits your culture and fits the job description perfectly.
Right.
It's one of the best things you can do, because you don't have the stress and it's just it makes the process so much easier in the long run because you have the right person. And I think that well, I know just from the years of me doing it, I mean, I've been trying to grow a team, and I have been growing a team for the last 8 years, until I figured out that key component of building a team. I went through I had some hard knocks of hiring the wrong people in the past that hiring the wrong person can really hurt.
Yeah. The lessons we learn the hard way.
Yeah. So just that one aspect, well, and since then, going through that process of trying to find a director of operations, we didn't hire that first one, and because I had to defend my hire, and it made me sit back and really listen and think about who I was going to hire in that position. Since then, we found a director of operations, and our team has just taken off from there because of that one key hire.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So let's talk. So now you guys moved to Knoxville, and you're settled in with the whole family. It wasn't just you and your wife. And then you find this director of ops. Tell me kind of what's business looking like today? Well, you guys have grown a lot.
We have, and hindsight, looking back, I discovered that once I wasn't working in my business, I actually had time to work on my business. The amount of growth we were able to accomplish in such a short amount of time, I still look at it and I can't believe the distance we've traveled in just really 6 months. We changed our model. Our whole team structure and our whole model as far as how we function as a team, we've changed all of it within the last 6 months. We went from a team structure where, well, we are an ISA model now, which we had to make a whole change for that. And we brought in a whole ISA department.
Wow.
So that was, 5 new people to our team right there. We've changed around our transaction coordination team a little bit there. And we've actually brought on a marketing team that's doing a lot, that's in-house, and got that organized. The list goes on and on. There's so many things I've wanted to accomplish over the last couple of years that I had the idea, I had the vision, But to have the time to do it, and the resources, I just couldn't.
Here's what I just heard. It's like when you talk about we changed our model, we built an ISA department, we changed our TC team around, our marketing department, like everything you focused on for the last 6 months has been your hub, like getting that hub in order so that when you
It
do,
really has. Yeah.
right, when you start to bring on, and you are bringing on more buyers agents, you now have how many expansions? There's Prescott, Knoxville,
So we have
Florida.
2 in Phoenix. We have one in
Mhm.
Scottsdale, one in Phoenix. We have one in Prescott. We have Knoxville, and we have Florida. And
Yeah.
we're looking at starting another expansion in another state here soon, that we have opportunity there. One more thing that we did that I've always wanted to do, and you hear large teams like Kristen Bull's team, they always talk about, systems and playbooks.
Mhm.
We now have an agent handbook that we've created. We have a TC handbook that we've created. We've created a handbook around our open houses and marketing. We've created several systems that have been flushed out, that I would have never been able to do on my own.
Right.
Working in my business, I had to be taken out of my business, moving away from my team and having to create all these systems and actually making it so I had to work on my business instead of in it. It was a blessing in disguise. It really just opened everything up, and having the coaching along with that to make sure that it was being done right. It was just, yeah.
And so how do you feel today bringing on agents anywhere, like anywhere in the country or in the world versus 6 months ago? How do you feel bringing them into your world and knowing that you can provide them opportunity?
Because we have our handbooks and our systems all created and in place, really, we can bring on as many agents as we want at this point, because we actually have a program for them. It really just gives you freedom. I apologize for that.
It has to be one of us. I'm glad it's you.
Well, my phone's turned off, but my computer grabs it, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, having that freedom just to expand as much as we want now, it really opens up the horizon. The sky's the limit. We could really go anywhere we want. I just mentioned that we're going to be expanding into another state, and because we have those systems in place, I'm not nervous about doing that at all. I know the steps that it's going to take. We already know the expense it's going to cost, and what it takes to be profitable in doing that, which is a huge amount of freedom to be able to say, yeah, let's do that, or no, that doesn't make sense. Having those systems and that coaching really just removes the unknown. So
That's awesome. So here's a burning question that I'm sure everybody watching this is going to have, that I get all the time, is how do you, one, decide, you personally, like this is your expansion, how do you decide where you're going to go, and how do you find your people where you're going? Like talent, if you will, our infamous word. How do you find your talent? Where do you decide?
it's where I want to go, and where I end up has changed over the last 6 months, because before, like I want to expand in Utah, but I haven't found the who yet. And I say those words, the who, and that's coming right back from coaching and consulting. Denny and I have talked a lot about the who and what that looks like, and Kristen and yeah, I am now expanding when the right person raises their hand, not so much where I want to go, because when you find the right person, it makes expansion. You're not forcing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you asked that question, and it's really, we found a who that raised their hand that said, you know what, we want to be a part of your team. I will say that you attract talent when you have systems in place and they see the benefit of those systems that you've created. I used to attract talent by saying, look at all the stuff we've done in the past. You know, our team has sold over almost 100 million in real estate last year, blah, blah, blah. And that gets people excited. But if they were to look underneath the hood and they see that you're not organized, talent disappears real quick.
Right.
They recognize it. When somebody with talent looks at your organization and says, okay, you guys have systems in place, you have a clear direction that you're going. If I join your organization, there's not going to be confusion. That's what really attracts the talent to make them raise their hand to say, hey, I'd like to join you guys. As long as your vision and your dream and really your culture matches, because you're organized, people will raise their hand.
Yeah.
So
one of your biggest concerns was your culture. How do you feel your culture is today? Like, you've grown a lot. You left your Prescott team, not left, that's a strong term, but you expanded and you've grown your team exponentially. How's that culture feel today? That was your big concern.
It feels amazing because, you know, we always had culture in our company and in my team, but we've really sat down, and it goes back to being able to work on my business instead of in it. I've really been able to sit back and put that into words. We actually now have a vision, goal, and values, a mission statement. We have it all written out, and to be able to see that every day now, and to be able to share that with the entire team, and to have other people say, yeah, that I relate to that and buy into that vision, goals, values, and mission statement. It took a while to kind of dig it out of me and out of my team and out of our culture, because we really sat down and we thought about it. But because we've done that, now people see what we're all about. And once again, it's another reason why people raise their hand when you're looking for talent. So it's huge, and it feels really good to have that. And there's times when you have to make a decision that because I have that now written out, I can look at that and go, does that fit our vision? Does that fit our culture? Does that fit our values?
Are we walking out our values?
And it makes those decisions much clearer and much easier to make, quite honestly, because we have that in place. Going back to, you know, the CV process and hiring, because we have those aspects in place too, we can ask the question, does this person fit inside those values, that culture? Do they have a vision that aligns with ours? And having that clarity, it just makes it so much easier to identify talent and what talent you want to use or have on your team.
Agreed. So you've mentioned several times working on your business versus in your business, which is a huge mindset shift and a huge calendar shift. So kudos to you. Tell me, what is your day like? Walk me through a typical day a year ago and a typical day today in Ryan's world.
Oh my word, I haven't thought about that for a while. It has completely changed. You know, I used to do all the hunting and the fishing for my business. I used to go out there and do a lot of my own lead generation. And I still get past clients calling me, and it's interesting. I do pass those on to my agents now and my team. But I'm not so much focusing on the hunting and the gathering anymore as far as clients go. My focus has changed to the hunting and finding talent to grow my business. So when like right now, we're in the process of hiring a director of sales. That's my next director position that we're looking to fill. And I spend my 20% on finding those kind of individuals to grow my hub, instead of you know, looking for the next listing or the next buyer. I have people in our organization now that we meet. We're scheduled to meet at least once a week. We meet much more often than that. We have quick, you guys call it a stand-up call just about every morning after our team meetings. to kind of go over some of the things that help our business continue to grow and to make sure we're all on the same page. But I almost say I have people, which I do. I have people now that do that so that I can focus on my 20%,
Right.
which is finding talent and looking at other areas we can grow into and other ways that we can support our agents. I'm no longer an agent, which is the weird thing. I was just talking to my wife, and I said, it's been almost 6 months since I've written a contract myself.
Wow.
That is so foreign to me.
Wow. Could you still do it if you had to?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I can still do it.
Because I don't know that I could. Just like probably could, but I need a second set of eyes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a big shift in between, me writing the contracts, me doing the Benzers, me, well, I guess the Benzers, depending on where you're at. Now I'm in multiple locations, like my Florida team and my
They don't use Benzers. No,
They don't
just
know
I think that's an
Benzer.
Arizona thing.
It is, but so when you're negotiating those things with clients, it's been a while since I've had to do that. I coach on it all the time with my agents, but that's not my 20% anymore. So
what's your favorite part of your new 20%?
My favorite part is, so I'm a visionary. There's implementers and visionaries, and I've had to wear both hats, and I can do both of them. But when you find your implementers that can take a plan and put it into place, and that's my director of operations, she's absolutely amazing at doing that. My 20% that I just absolutely love doing now is creating the vision and finding those individuals that can help that vision, get feet behind it, so to speak, or to happen. So I love creating the vision and figuring out where we're going next.
Right. Building relationships. Sounds like what I hear.
Relationships. Yep.
Cool. So you just said it, where you're going from here. Where are you going from here?
Well, by the end of the year, my goal is to have 50 agents on our team. My goal is to probably be in 3 more states. So that's going to be 3 more market centers that we've identified. If we accomplish just that, it will be more than I could ever imagine doing a year ago. The neat thing is, though, because we have the systems in place, and by the way, when you develop a system, you're going to develop it, and then you're going to break it, and then you're going to develop it again, and then you're going to break it. I'm guessing probably sometime in the next couple months, as we expand, we'll probably break a system or 2 and redevelop it. But to be able to have the people to help you do that, where it's not just you trying to do it all yourself, that's powerful. That for the first time, I feel really excited about not, at some point, as you grow and you take on more and more, you realize you only have so much time in the day as a team owner. It gets daunting. It gets tiring. It gets, people, I've seen it, people burn out. When you get coaching from the right, here's the thing, there's so many people that have figured this out and have gone before me, and have grown much larger teams than I have. And I'm really just following their footsteps. And that's what Growthward Consulting has done for me. It's shown me the path to follow. And it's exciting to know that there's a course I can take that's already been, or a trail I can follow that's already been blazed, so to speak, that I'm not the one, the pioneer trying to figure it out. There are things that we are developing and being the pioneers of on our team. But to be able to have that support and that direction, it brings the excitement back into it, because now I have a team that I'm not doing it myself.
You're not free falling.
I'm not. It's not. I'm not winging it anymore. If I do have a question, I can go to my coach and say, hey, you guys have experienced this. Tell me your experience. because of the CV process, I've been able to hire directors in different areas of my company that provide support there too. So I'm not the only one trying to do everything anymore. So that's just that's probably, I don't know if I was to tell you everything that I've experienced this year, being able to have that freedom and that comfort knowing that I have other people on my side and on my team to
Right.
help me grow and expand. That's been amazing. It's actually, and because I've been able to do that, although we've accomplished more than I've ever accomplished in my entire life in the last 12 weeks, because we're now doing the 12-week calendar year as well.
Oh, I love
Uh,
it so much. Yeah.
I love that, but I actually, because of what I've built, you would think I would have less time in my day, and I've been able to actually spend more time with my family. My wife loves this, by the way. She's just seeing that I'm not nearly as stressed anymore,
Hmm.
and she's seen how much we've accomplished. So she's trying to figure out, okay, if you've accomplished this much, how come you're not this stressed? And it's because I'm not doing it by myself anymore.
Right. It's almost
So,
like someone's just telling you what to do and you're just doing it and it's working. So they just keep telling you and you just keep doing it and it's working.
yes, and if you don't do it, the one of the beautiful things about it is they hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny because accountability or accountable used to be a negative word in my world, and now it's turned out to be something that I look forward to, and it's quite positive.
What does
Um,
that mean to you? So a lot of people say, I want accountability or I need to be held accountable. Like, what does that mean to you?
really, it's just keeping you focused on what you're trying to accomplish. Accountability, you can. We talk about accountability, like I said, a lot of people think it's a negative thing, but if you hold your money accountable, for example, or if you hold your business accountable, or if you hold your calendar accountable, it means that you're going to be able to filter out the white noise, or the things that cost you money, cost you time, cost you suffering when you don't follow through. You hold your health accountable. It means waking up and doing the exercise that you didn't want to do, but then you realize you're healthy and you're not sick. The same thing happens in your business or in your life. If I hold my calendar or my time blocking accountable, I get the things that I need to accomplish done. It allows me, part of my time blocking is family time, and spending
Hmm.
that time on the lake with my family, and having those experiences with my children. um, Without accountability, that all gets mixed together and gets to be a mess, and you miss out on so much. Or when you are doing those things, you're so stressed that your family doesn't get the best of you.
Right.
I love accountability. I love accountability now.
I
you
love that
know
you brought Lindsay and the kids into the conversation because from the first time I met you, like there's never a conversation with you when you don't talk about them, your kids and your wife and your family. And it's like for you, I mean, for a lot of people and for you specifically, that time is everything.
I'm going to show you something too, the accountability. It's funny, all these things we learn for our business, like the CV process or accountability or coaching. It translates throughout your entire life if you use it correctly. You want to talk about accountability? I'm going to go like this. I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm going to stop sharing my video for a second because I want you to see this picture that pops up.
Okay.
Oh, it's not going to show it on this computer.
No,
On
that's
my
just
other
you.
computer, it shows a headshot of me in a suit and tie. I wonder if there's a way I could pull it up real quick. I was 40 pounds heavier in that
Wow.
picture. So yeah, in about the last 6 months, a little less than that actually, last 5 months, I've lost 40 pounds. And that's just putting into practice some of the other things I've learned in my business, and holding myself accountable. And
That's
I feel
huge.
healthier and I'm happier.
Congratulations.
So
Yeah, you look healthier. I mean, you just look fantastic and you do look happier.
yeah.
And that's number one, right? If we're not pouring into ourselves, I heard it this morning. I can't remember where, doesn't matter, but you know, I can't lead if I don't pour into myself. If I don't fill my own bucket, I can't lead. And you know, that was my message for the day. So I love that you're parroting that in my first conversation of the day.
Yeah. It's amazing. And then I found that when you pour into other people's buckets and you help them grow and succeed, suddenly your bucket's never empty.
Right.
Um,
But you can't do that if you're not focused, right? If you're not focused and living out your mission and understanding all the things, all the circles, all the important things, you can't, they're just words if you can't physically and mentally commit to doing them.
they really are. I mean, when I think about the number of families our business now affects, because our roster just keeps on growing. It's not just the people on my team; it's their kids and their spouses and when you start thinking about all the people that this affects, that's really what gets me going in the morning and gets me excited. And that's one of the reasons why accountability, we talked about that word, is so important. If I do what I'm supposed to do to help those families be successful, look at how many people we're touching. That's part of our culture. One of the things we did on our team is we got a family picture of every single person on my roster. And we put a collage together of it because really, if we're successful, that's who we're really affecting. Is all those families. So for me to be able to grow my business the way I have, you think about, Shana, you think about, and see, now I'm going to try not to get emotional here.
Right.
This process has not only changed my life over the last 6 months and helped me reach new heights as far as my business goes that I couldn't imagine reaching at the speed that we reached it. But you've affected so many more families besides just mine. You've blessed. I have people on my team that, they when they joined my team, they were only making 20,000-30,000 a year, and now they're 6-figure agents. And their husband fell and broke both his arms, severely broke both his arms at work, and they were the sole provider for that family. It's amazing to be a part of that. So to be able to put systems in place to bless those families, because there's not confusion around what we're doing, and there's not there's intention behind everything we do. When you have systems and accountability and coaching and when we're all successful, it's amazing how it just keeps on growing and how many lives you can bless. And that's why I do what I do. I love blessing other people's lives.
Wow. You make me cry. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
In the end, it's what matters, right?
It's what matters. And it's nice to be able to and just going back to Growthward Consulting, it's nice to be able to, when you have a question or you need help, or to be able to go to a coach and say, hey, listen, this is what we're facing. What are your thoughts? How can we overcome this? It's nice to know that you have that support.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We're honored. And as I said, we're doing a fairly young company and doing these first rounds of tell us your experience and learn more. Yeah, thank you. I wasn't, like I said, I don't coach you, so I wasn't expecting this story, and I love it very much. I love you.
Well, you've coached me some in the past.
Yeah, I get to jump in. I'm the jump in coach.
You get to jump in.
And I love it.
But you know what? The number one thing that, like I say, going back to the CV process, it took me a long time to find my director of operations, and that was one of the biggest key hires I've ever made.
Right, she changed your world.
It changed my world to be able to have that and to see the effects of that. Those key hires, and to have the coaching alongside of those decisions and those interviews and yeah, it made all the difference. So
Sweet.
I'm a huge fan now.
Well, we're going to check back in with you in early 2022 to hear about your 50 agents. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think it's fantastic. And thank you again. Thanks for jumping on and sharing with us and being vulnerable about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm excited to watch where it goes. I'm excited.
Awesome.
We'll be
I'm
reporting back
excited.
on the OG, our OG.
Yes,
I'm going to
absolutely.
start calling you.
ROG.
Yeah, ROG. Cool. Take care, Ryan, and we'll see you very soon.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.